I got into a Genesis. This is luxury. Whether it's a sleek G70 or the GV80 with that third row, these are high-end vehicles with payments that actually make sense. Go see Michael. Tell him Sid sent you. Genesis of Brooklyn. Find him at genesisofbrooklyn.com. So a couple of years ago, I'm down in South Florida doing sports talk radio, and I get a guy reaches out to me. His name is Doug Sifu, and he said, Sid, congratulations. You're doing a great job down here. We know you're the best hockey guy in town, and, you know, we just bought the Florida Panthers, my main man, Vinny Viola, and we want you to get involved because we are fans of yours from your days on WFAN radio in New York. I go, oh, that's great, Doug. Yeah, thank you. I didn't know who Vinny was. I know Virtue is a big deal here in New York, and everybody on the floor in the stock market knows Vinny, but I didn't. But I did meet him very, very quickly, thanks to Doug Sipu, and we hit it off going to Florida Panther games. He even flew me with the team on a couple of series when they took on the Rangers, Islanders, and Devils here in New York. One weekend was Super Bowl weekend, and we became very, very close. Long story short, Vinny's hockey team, the Florida Panthers, have just won the last 2 Stanley Cups. And now on top of that, Vinny's horse, Golden Tempo, has just won the Kentucky Derby. I had the favorite a couple of years ago, the horse named Forte, who unfortunately stepped on a pebble the morning of the big race. But this horse, the 19-horse Golden Tempo, wins the Derby, and everybody here in New York and Brooklyn very excited for our dear friend, the great Vinny Viola. But the story doesn't end there. It gets even better when you look at his trainer, the first female trainer ever to win the Kentucky Derby. Just a lovely lady. She was great on NBC after the win on Saturday. Cherie DeVaux, and she is kind enough on this Monday morning, 2 days after her historic victory, to join us on Sid and Friends in the Morning. Cherie, congratulations on this momentous feat.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I saw you were really emotional on Saturday, your sister Adrian there, and talking about your husband David and holding the baby, and really a family team when you look at what you accomplished on Saturday, and you were quick to thank everybody around you after the victory.
Oh, it takes a village, both professionally at the barn. We have a wonderful team, and personally, I have a wonderful family that supports me, and this life on the racetrack it's something that is hard to conceptualize if you aren't part of it. And it really takes the support of my friends, my family, and especially my husband, David.
Yeah, he looks like a super guy. But I want to go back to the gentleman I spoke about as I introduced you, and that is my dear friend for so many years, and I guess your boss, Vinny Viola. What is it like working with Vinny with this horse all the way up to this victory on Saturday?
Well, Vinny's been wonderful. He really is. He's hands off. His racing head of racing is Monique Delk, and Monique handles the day-to-day communications and any questions that I have, and she and Vinny talk about his stable regularly. And, Vinny obviously has a lot on his plate, so he's got other things, but him and Monique run the stable, and I think they're a fantastic team. And Vinny is, I commend him because during my time working with him and Golden Tempo, the horses always come first, and there's never any pressure, and that just makes it a joy to work with a team like that.
Oh, you're right about that. He was so upset when Forte stepped on a pebble. Some said, race. He said, no. I am not going to take a chance. He loves the horses. And, of course, he's a very, very big deal up here in Saratoga come summertime, whether it's Bill Parcells or Mike Brancesso or Rick Pitino. There is Vinny, too. And this is an amazing story when you consider that you, Cherie, the big champ today, you are from there, right? You grew up in Saratoga Springs.
Well, I have to negate that a little bit because I was born in Saratoga, but which is quite cold in the winter time. And I tell everyone that my formidable years were spent growing up on the beaches of Florida because I do not like being cold. I don't like all the snow. And that's what always comes up is, you're from Saratoga. And I'm like, no, I like the beach. That's my jam.
Oh, I don't blame you. I also lived in Boca Raton for 16 years, and I can't stand the cold either. It's getting harder for me now. Just turned 59, and the New York winters are getting harder for me. So, Phipps Stable, St. Elias Stable, are they both in Florida?
Well, the Phipps stable is based out of Kentucky. The Phipps family has been influential part of thoroughbred racing history, and I do believe they're based. A lot of the family lives in New York City and surrounding areas, and Daisy, who is my contact again, and I've known Daisy for years, is from Lexington.
Got it. And but St. Elias, that's down south, right?
Correct. Yeah, Vinny and Teresa, they travel a lot. So, but I do believe their home base of operations is in Florida.
This is Cherie DeVaux. She just trained Golden Tempo to a Kentucky Derby win on Saturday. First female trainer to ever do that, and being celebrated all over the country today, as she should be. Tell me about his workouts and what he looked like leading up to this race, even that morning little trot there. Did you have a lot of confidence that this horse really could win the Kentucky Derby? Let's not forget, the horse went off at 23-1. Nice payday, by the way, $48. But were you confident, based on the workouts before the race and even Saturday morning, this horse was going to do what it actually did?
Most definitely. Golden Tempo is interesting as far as handicappers go, and what handicappers see on the form as opposed to what might be going on behind the scenes. So Golden Tempo he wasn't the most precocious colt. He always looked like he was going to get better with time, maturity, and with racing. And he's a true classic distance horse, mile and a quarter. So after Golden Tempo won the LeCompte, which was his first Derby prep race, the team and I spoke that he was a horse that's going to be in development, and we needed to have him peaking on Derby Day, not the races before. So as long as the horse was continuing to improve, as long as he was standing up to training and his speed figures were going in the right direction, we were going to keep the bigger picture in mind and not focus so much on each individual race leading up to the Derby. And he, if you could write it in a script, he followed the script perfectly.
He really did. And your jockey, Jose Ortiz, what a great day, Cherie, for the Ortiz brothers. Your jockey, Jose, wins the race. His brother, Irad, his horse Renegade, comes in second. I'm not sure there's ever been a Derby where brothers finished 1-2. Probably not. Jose also, by the way, became one of maybe a dozen jockeys ever to win now every leg of the Triple Crown. I heard you talking about the Ortiz brothers, specifically your jockey, Jose, saying, I know him since he's like a little kid. How about Jose Ortiz, what he did on Saturday?
Oh, most definitely. I have to give a lot of credit to Jose, and I've known both Irad and Jose since they first moved their tack to New York, and in their early 20s. And Jose has been an integral part of our stable's growth in the last couple of years. He was based in New York and Florida, and he decided to come to Kentucky, and then subsequently went down to Fairgrounds. And he's put a lot of work into not just Golden Tempo, but a lot of other runners in our stable. He's got a vested interest, and it doesn't matter. Golden Tempo is top echelon of horses, but even in developing our babies, he's out, he's working hard, and he did. He had all the faith in Golden Tempo. I'm sure he had the opportunity to ride other horses that seemed to be a little bit better of a choice at the time, but he stuck through and really had showed loyalty to our stable, and we so much appreciate that.
And what about the tactic he used? The horse, the 19 horse, obviously, 19 post position, so you start on the outside. The fact that he's in dead last, Cherie, I'm watching this thing, and boom, gets to the outside and makes that unbelievable stretch run to win the race. What do you think about the way Jose ran the race?
Well, again, if you could write it on paper, he executed it perfectly. Golden Tempo is a deep closer, and by nature of that, the rider is going to make the difference in the race as long as the horse shows up. So the one thing that's good about a horse's running style like him is as long as in the stretch run you don't get in trouble, you're really not in the thick of things. Horses get tired and they're backing up into you, or horses are trying to move forward and you get bumped around. Well, he's so far out of it that none of that is a factor in his running of the race. So Jose, we spoke about it at length throughout the week. We don't want to try to change his running style. It's effective for him. And having an outside post is actually to our advantage so that the horses can run away from him and he just can save ground and get on the rail. Now, I will say it was a nail biter going around the first turn when he was so far out of it, and I haven't even had the time to even look at a chart to see how far back he was, but it was nearly a furlong, it seemed. And, Jose just timed it perfectly. He saved all the ground the first turn. He got himself in position going around the second turn and just went in the clear, and the horse responded, and Golden Tempo responded.
Amazing. Two more, and we'll let you run here. Again, this is Cherie DeVaux. She just trained Golden Tempo to a Kentucky Derby win out of Vinnie Viola's stable. I love that, Vinnie and Teresa. I do want to ask you about the big story, which is you're a woman. Wow. And you're the first female, I know, you're the first female trainer. I love all that stuff. You break glass ceilings, and, folks are the first to do anything certainly should be celebrated and recognized. But were you celebrating the fact that you're the first woman to win the Derby on Saturday, or the fact that your horse just won the Derby on Saturday?
I definitely celebrated that I'm a horse trainer, and the horse won. Golden Tempo won the Derby. Female trainers are underrepresented in the sport, but it's hard for me to think of myself as, breaking a glass ceiling or going out and being, an icon for females. That is hard for me to conceptualize because I've never made my gender part of my identity as a horse trainer.
But you are, and you deserve it. You may not feel that way. And I know your sister Adrian, by the way, is married to a trainer, too. He's retired. So on the way out, you are all those things. I know it seems weird for you, but you deserve all the recognition and attention you're getting today. On the way out, the big question is, we've got the Belmont in Saratoga this year as they rebuild the track. It's back at the Belmont next year. And there's nothing more exciting, as you know, Cherie, than having a chance at a horse at winning the Triple Crown. But we've seen examples where a horse will win the Kentucky Derby and not race in the Preakness a couple of weeks later. Everybody wants to know, will Golden Tempo race in 2 weeks?
We're going to let Golden Tempo decide that. It's kind of hard. He needs every bit of distance, as shown in the race, to win at 1.25 miles. And we have to put the horse first. So we're going to see how he comes out of the race, see how he's training, how his energy is. And, and then we'll talk about whether we want to take the chance or not. He's just unique in the fact that he is a true classic distance horse that needs all the ground, and shortening up in the Preakness will definitely be a key part of that discussion on whether we do enter and run in the Preakness.
And when usually would you make that call? Over the next week, I guess?
Yeah, so typically our horses get about a week of easy training, and kind of towards the end of that week we'll we'll try to make a decision so we can let everybody know what our plans are.
Got it. Well, listen, you're a sweet, sweet, sweet woman. You really are, and you're great. And now you've won the Kentucky Derby, and all these amazing things are happening for you. And like I said, you deserve it. I love the fact that you was with your family, and it was just great watching you on Saturday. It really was. So, Cherie, congratulations. Couldn't happen to a nicer lady, and good luck with Golden Tempo and whatever horse you've got moving forward. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much for having me on. Appreciate it.
All right, sweetie, take care. There she is, Cherie DeVaux, and her horse, Golden Tempo, just won the Derby. We'll take a short break. More of the Monday edition of Sid and Friends in the Morning right after these words.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Listen to this podcast now
On the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Leadership Thread with Dr. Peggy Polonis.
I'm Dr. Peggy Polonis. Join me on each episode where I unravel the story that shaped leaders, tracing the thread that led them where they are today. Because leadership isn't born in adulthood. And thank you once again for joining us on the Leadership Thread, education, ethics, and sustainability.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.